3 minutes past nine, Smart means business. It's the Liberation Day celebrations and, of course, marking 38 years of NRM rule. And the biggest question here is that how was our economy like at the time NRM came to power? How far have we progressed economically? And what have been the hugest challenges we've experienced in terms of us achieving our desired targets? I mean, for so many times, when you interact with people that existed during the ancient, after independence, I mean, they will tell you stories of, life was good, everything was good. But if they compare the current times to now, actually, it's more like Uganda, he's living in the future, going in the past. Because if you take a look at the infrastructure, then and if somebody died then and probably rose back today, I mean, look at the infrastructure.
What happened to my country?
What happened to my country?
Because most times, if you realize when someone comes back to Uganda after so many years not being around,
exactly.
Because recently a friend of mine came back to Uganda, she stays in the Netherlands. I asked her, have you seen any change in Uganda? Do you see any progress? Is the infrastructure changing in any way? Her answer was, the same goat I left there 20 years ago is still there.
It's still there.
So the infrastructure, the roads, it's all the same. When you're leaving Entebbe and coming, it still looks the same. Of course, for us who are here, we see the different roads that have been constructed. We see a few infrastructures that have changed here and there. Or maybe you can say many people are becoming job creators compared to the other years. People are opening up shops. People are making beverages. Like you find that we used to import back in the day, more of an importation, but now we have more of our own beverages made in Kampala. And this is a progress for us. So for someone who has not been around, will feel like Uganda is still looking the same. But for us who have been home, we feel like there is a difference.
But I think you may never know. It's like if you're a musician and somebody tells you how to, when you hear yourself sing, you feel like you're good, but somebody outside can be the best judge.
Yes.
Because what your friend said is not different from the General Secretary of Commonwealth. In a recent interview, he was told when they came to the CISPOC, the speakers conference at Munyo Speak Resort 20. He said, she said, I was in Uganda in 2007 for the children meetings. I came back, yes, I was expecting probably would be in a different place, but wait, same place. Infrastructure. He said, Uganda, all we have maintained is the beauty. We are a beautiful country.
Yes.
But talking about infrastructure, but even you see, we have, even the infrastructure that is available, what is it doing? It's underutilized in terms of productivity. Because before, in the ancient times, I don't want, because ancient times is too much.
Back.
It's more back.
It was even before NRM.
Before NRM.
Yes.
Yeah. But after independence, in the first 1960s, 70s, we may not have had the best infrastructure, but business was moving on. People sold their coffee, their tea, their cash crops. I mean, some of the cash crops that are being sold. That even with lack of basic infrastructure, economic activity was moving on. People could, coffee farmers could grow their coffee. They were assured that they will transport it and to the required centers, and it's taken to the markets, different markets. Of course, not until we saw the coffee board being demolished just like that, and so many more of those. So I still feel like the infrastructure is available, the basic infrastructure, but it's not yet yielding its expected returns on the country. Personally, you could tell me, because if I'm just using the infrastructure to wake up, go to work, people walking, idolizing around, I think that's not right. Because if you're setting up the basic infrastructure, establish the services that are going to which are going to use that infrastructure. First of all, empowering the population to engage in commercial agriculture, just like the president is emphasizing. Let them have their established markets. I told you this of a scenario of farmers who got parish development model money in West Nile, and they didn't have markets for that. So empower these people, put up the infrastructure, let them move around. And also, I've observed something. Yes, I understand we are recording figures of growth because they tell you that poverty rates have dropped from 58.1
Really?
to now 20%. No, that's what according to what?
Yes, Andrew, these percentages they give us, sorry to cut you short,
Yeah.
they give us these percentages, but there is something else they forget.
Yes.
They look at the rich and they forget the one who is down. Because if you realize the biggest number of Ugandans are poor, they are not rich. The poverty rate, yes, they're saying they've gone high, they've gone lower, but when you enter a shop, most of the job creators that we have right now, how many products do they have in their shops?
They have a lot of.
Yes, they have a lot of products. Which products do they have? They have sodas. How much profit do they make from these sodas and the water?
Less profit.
Because they have to pay rent, that is something you have to look at. And then they have to pay for power, they have to pay for maintenance, they have to eat when they're at the shop, they need transport to go to the shop. So at the end of the day, you find that this person is actually working for the government and not working for a living, which is not fair. I feel like if they're saying the poverty levels are going down, it means whoever is a job creator, whoever is working out there needs to make 800,000 and no, I am sleeping in a house of 100,000. The standard of living is quite high. You cannot tell me the poverty levels are going down when people are actually living on money that is, I don't even know how to say it.
Okay, this is what I believe. An economy is in cycles. That at some point when you're undertaking economic growth, a path to economic growth, there's some people that are going to be left out behind.
Yes.
And
the biggest number.
The biggest number of people.
Yes.
Of course, there'll be years of suffering, but there is glory as tied together. But that period can last for a long time. And I believe it's what President Yoweri Museveni is actually doing. That, okay, I understand, because we've also been experiencing a big challenge of the Bretton Woods institutions lending us money with strict policies. So literally you find that some of these policies that President Yoweri Museveni probably puts out are not because he deserves, but because his bosses, they are telling him, hey, I'm giving you this amount of money to revive the economy, but do this. And even when you invest this money, invest it here. Okay, of course,
so
the people.
It is money that is told you.
It is directed.
Money.
It is controlled money.
Yes.
And it was actually one of the key discussions of the recent summit, reforms in that. So, but of course, we understand. He's also a wise person. You know, he will get to know, okay, because an economy still has what we call pockets of efficiency, looking at the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, an established army. Of course, he will know. That's why the first bold step he took was homosexual. No.
Yes.
I'm standing on my ground. You know, put me off Agoa, I don't care. We can use the domestic resources to develop the economy. So, sometimes when they are putting out these figures of economic growth and development, it may not actually be felt by the people, but it could be also what is the value of this country in terms of what it has, you know? And so far, okay, I understand over 10% on 40% of the country's resources, which is understandable, but still, that doesn't rule out the fact that in the years before, the few people that are owning, that means before NRM, we had lesser people that were owning even something.
Yes, the smallest number.
The smallest number was even much more smaller. They have now increased, though they have increased at a slow pace. But increasing at a slow pace, that means that is growth.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, it may not spread rapid. Because now, like, let me give an example. When these conferences came here, people are saying, these conferences are coming, but what are we going to benefit?
Yes, what are we benefiting?
But who tells them that those conferences come because, them coming, we should expect that all our problems are going to be solved, and we're like, oh, this is the savior. The most important thing is, what are you picking from the conference? Because even New York itself, which holds the UN, downtown Manhattan, there are potholes, but delegates have never complained. Of course, there is no perfect economy.
But of course, when we have these delegates coming in the country, you don't expect the drivers or the president to ask them to take them to a place like Bwaise, to a place like Katanga. Of course, they're going to take them to places like Munyonyo, Muyenga, where the roads are very... By the way, those places have bad roads. It's just that they have better looking buildings and better looking areas.
They may be, based on Uganda standards, they are good roads.
No. Compared to the other areas nowadays, those places, no, they are supposed to have very, very good roads. But when you see the real GDP growth, it was from 5.1% between 1986 and 2022, and exceeding the sub-Sahara African average of 3.4%.
Yeah, actually, Uganda is considered to be one of the countries which have the fastest growing economy.
Yes.
According to the recent report by the International Monetary Fund, it expressed the countries within the sub-Saharan region which are likely to be more profitable. And East Africa, we had Rwanda, we had Tanzania, and definitely Uganda has to be inclusive because our trade partnerships with these countries definitely put us a part of what they are enjoying. We partake of what they're already enjoying. Okay, for example, like we see inflation has also been increasing. Okay, we have it at 2.6, you know. It doesn't mean that the prices are not increasing. They're increasing, but the rate is just slowing down a bit. So so I would relate this with economic growth because honestly, see, back in the days, take a look at the education. I understand because another challenge we've encountered is balancing population. Because we are the population is growing rapidly, and at the expense of the resources that we have. You know, so such has also led to the figures we see currently. Why? They are registering growth, but the poverty is still high.
Yeah.
By the way, Ginger,
yes, we are at Wakitaka Playground.
Exactly.
And one of the reasons I think the president decided, or the government has decided to celebrate the liberation there today, it's because the president doubts the support he has from the Basoga.
He doubts the support.
Yes, he feels like these people are really not into the NRM so much the way he gets it from the western part. Okay. You know, when he goes to Mbarara, Kabale, those places, the votes are guaranteed most of the time. Yeah. So he feels like this time around NRM should support them, should go there, and so that he can get more support from the Basoga. And at least he wants to feel it and know, at least, do these people actually support me? Do I actually have a reason to actually stay with them?
And when you say that, it puts me to a reason that over the years, President Museveni has seemed to be more concerned by protecting his position.
Yes.
As compared to, the bigger picture of economic growth and development. Because if you take a look at now, that's already campaigning these guys, right?
Yes, it is. Because very soon it is time.
You know, and there is this aspect that, elections are quite very expensive because I think he's this kind of a person that will do whatever it takes to ensure that, he stays in power. And that comes with the cost of the state resources, because he believes that I would rather probably keep in the chair. I would rather keep being president as I prepare this economy to the level I want it to be. So that's why at times we experience the slow growth, but the growth is there actually. Yeah. It's there, but it's quite slow. And remember, also the political class, after winning the elections, of course, is now a bit safe because the age limit was put off. A term limit was the first back in time. We came to the age limit.
Yeah.
Now we are likely to. Anyway, now look at this. The political class, of course, they also have that responsibility of ensuring that they preserve the presidency, and that comes with getting money from the state coffers to keep that, in position, and that puts us in a way that that's why if you've witnessed some of the activities, in most cases, in case anything that threatens the politics, there is suppression, and the suppression comes with experts.
Yeah.
And anything that doesn't affect the politics, however bad it may be to you, the individual, no one cares.
But you know, when you see all that, at the end of the day, I've noticed when they are trying to develop areas, you see places like Arua, Soroti, Mbarara, Kabale. When you see those roads, the roads are actually really good.
Upcountry roads are good.
Very, very good.
Upcountry
But places like Ginger, this is something one of the ministers was talking about. They said when the delegates, pardon me, when the MPs, when the people from the government are going there for the liberation celebration, they should actually look into this and see the roads, because Ginger roads are actually quite bad compared to the other roads. And this is one area I think they actually never focus on. Even when they're saying, let us let this particular program take place, you never hear Ginger being talked about.
Ginger being talked
yes,
about.
you never hear Basoga being mentioned. But if this time around they are saying they're going to celebrate from their area, this is something good for them as people from Ginger. There should be progress or growth for them very soon.
And actually, I saw a report about minerals in eastern Uganda, which
maybe this is why they're going there.
2.2
Look at that.
Generating 2.2 trillion. I think so. All those perspectives, and but does it mean that if you discover 2.2 trillion, okay, assuming it's one of the reasons, I'm just assuming, is it right that you say you're putting the day there? I mean, you're celebrating the day from there.
Well, after the celebration, we can always say afterwards, we were here, we celebrated, we recognized you people, so it is okay for us to come and use these minerals that you have. There is no way you're going to stop us.
Recently, people didn't know, but there were riots in Soroti, because I take it as the Eastern, about mining, drilling oil. Actually, Soroti has oil. And people were complaining.
Yeah.
And they're like, you people didn't tell us about this. Why are you doing this to us? And you find that there was even no discussion in Parliament, because any such approval aspects, the Parliament has to be in there, but it's not there. And people are saying we are willing to fight this at the expense of our blood, Eastern Uganda. So the Liberation Day celebrations being in Ginger, it's a bigger picture. I mean, it's not just for Ginger alone. It's, for the region as a whole. But anyway, let's wait and see what transpires 5 years from now. If the allocated funds, because if a normal person hears 2.2 trillion, the first question I'm going to ask myself, where's my share from the 2.2 trillion?
Well, usually the government takes the 20% and the people get the 10%.
Government takes 20%?
Yeah, and the people usually take the 10%.
And the 70%? Goes somewhere. Well.
Well, it's still there in brackets, and we shall soon get to know where the 70%
goes.
They usually say it goes to the country.
To the country?
Yeah. Okay. But well, if the government is taking the 20%, and then they say that 70% is going to the country, and then the 10% is going back to the people that have the minerals. So that means the government is taking all the rest.
The rest.
The 70 plus the 20. Oh.
Hope it goes to the government institution.
Yeah.
By the way, talk about the time, the privatization aspect in I think it was 1996, which I think it was influenced by the Cold War politics, because America emerged as the winner, and it had allies, Uganda inclusive. And we had state enterprises which used to give people jobs when they're done, but now they are no more. I mean, they're taken over by most of them, which were actually bought by foreigners, and these people, they're exploitative in nature when it comes to salary, and they bring their own people. And you see, these people are so strategic that they leave their countries to establish branches of their own shops, franchises, and when they come here to Uganda, they buy from their franchises from their home countries. So they bank the money back to their countries. And I feel the privatization aspect has led to a huge disruption of Uganda's economy, whereby the indigenous private sector has not gotten an equal share of the nation's economy. If you are to really take into take a look, if I'm to talk about tax holidays, benefits, land acquisition, you have free land, you have all this. It's been quite a huge challenge. The private sector has faced quite a lot, has gone through a lot in terms of access to financing, because even when you review the loan policies, They're not really favorable. Microfinances,
the interest rates
are
high.
quite
Yes.
very high.
Yeah.
And this is to the indigenous person. And you're investing into this, but you're not even sure whether your profit is going to come back. Let me give an example. How you tell me you're buying an investment, you're investing $10 billion. When are you going to recover that?
It's going to take years, but that means at the end of the day, the person who is supposed to pay back the money, remember, the longer you take to pay, the higher the interest goes.
The higher the interest goes.
So that is why last time I was still telling you, as Ugandans, as long as you get a loan, that means you're working for the bank. That means you're working for the government. So at the end of the day, whatever business you've set up, you're not getting anything for yourself. So whatever you say that I'm a business owner, yes, you're a business owner, but what are you getting from the business?
Okay.
How much are you earning from the business? Is everything you're earning, you have to pay back the loan that you got. This is where you find people, they are selling properties after getting a loan of $1 billion to set up apartments, and before you know it, they're selling it at a low price because the bank is on their neck. They say, I have this little money in my account. Let me do a quick sale of the apartment and I pay back the money. And what have you gained? No. You've just lost everything. You're back to zero.
But that is common to indigenous Ugandans.
Yes.
Indigenous Ugandans. And if you rule out the locals in an economy, that's the greatest mistake you can ever do, because no foreigner would come. And I also feel like we've also not come to favorable negotiation power for over these years. I understand foreign direct investment has increased because we are targeting $2.9 billion in the next years. As of last year, 2023, we had about 834. But the issue here is, it's like Andrew, I go to Sudil and I say we are negotiating. And I feel convinced that when I negotiate with him, we are going to do things to favor us both. It's never going to happen. He's definitely going to use me, because if I have more money, I'm going to use you. So that is part of some idea. I feel like the choice of partners, our negotiating power with them, because in most cases, if we strike a deal with China, China is not working to help us. We are the one actually working for it.
Yeah. In
the long run, indirectly, we may never know that. So, choice of partners. I would feel like if you partner with countries that are kind of literally in your same bracket, it doesn't matter, by the way. You can default, because a nation can grow without relying on external support. But because external support itself comes with terms and conditions.
Very many.
And this is the reason why even at the World Economic Forum, the biggest discussion was Africa's debt. You can't imagine that Africa's debt is at $1.9 trillion as of last year. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
That even China is thinking of debt restructuring of over 40 African countries. That means they're going to forgive them. So these are mistakes that have not been done by only Uganda, but also other countries. So when President Yoweri Museveni comes in, he seemed to have, when the privatization bit of it came in, there was a lot of, that's when I think we started to attract a bit of foreign direct investment. But then these people came out with agreements that are favoring them, and they are milking the resources of this country.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, even if you partner with a country and you feel this country is going to help you,
exactly,
this country will start in a friendly way. But at the end of the day,
they turn
around, and of course they will be selfish and they will want to take back to their country. So if we have a mineral here and another country wants it, of course they will come when they are friendly. And at the end of the day, before you know it, they'll be like, oh, by the way, you took our money, so we need to take more of the minerals from you to pay back our money. There is nothing you're going to do because they already did you a favor.
Okay, I think it depends on the country you're trading with.
Yeah.
Because I feel you need to also review this country. You need to be at par. Now, Angola is interested in our oil, is interested in our coffee. However much they have a higher GDP than ours, we can still trust them to work with them. Because fairly, I don't think Angola would really think of let me use Uganda. Oh no, what? I mean, no one. President Jeremy.
Uganda is a country, every country feels like they can use them.
No. With President
But also Kenya has just discovered, Raw that can make laptops and phones and everything, those electro gadgets. Right now, you're going to see very many countries wanting to invest into the country.
Exactly.
And before you know it, the country is going to be losing out because they will be taking the mineral. And before you know it, the other countries are going to benefit from the mineral more than the country because they'll buy it from them at a cheaper price. And before you know it, they will take it, rebrand it and add value to it and everything. And before you know
export it back.
Yes.
At higher price.
See?
Absolutely. That's how the world economics really works. Sometimes the weak suffer the most. Well, let's take a break and we return still with our business inside. Andrew Barije, Charlotte. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the
Osmosis.
Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel, so visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
Smart 24, driving business.
Well, despite the figures of growth that have been recorded by the NRM reign, there still remains massive lots of poverty, and some of these aspects have been largely attributed to large amounts of corruption. In 2022, I think Uganda was, the corruption index was way too high, among the most top 28 corrupt countries globally.
But usually when we get speeches from our president and the leaders that we have,
Yeah.
they usually say the corruption rate is going down. Then they even brought a machine that was fighting corruption. Lord.
But you see, I've also noticed, you've mentioned a machine. There are many collisions, there are many units that are fighting corruption in this country. Some of them, you can hear them and you're like, oh my goodness. But the corruption seems to be increasing every other day. You know, money, recently when the budget, because our budget is going to be 52 trillion, about 54, but there was a
Ugandans go, we are rich.
we are rich. But of course, it's going to come a huge amount from debt financing it. And then there is an extra about 1.6 trillion that is added in the budget. I think it was, who was asked? Blue Golobi, and he can't even mention, if he's asked, where is the additional 1.6 trillion? He also can't.
But
just recent.
every time they put out the budget, every time.
Exactly.
We are in trillions, we are in billions. A lot of money goes out there. But where does this money go? This is a big question most of the Ugandans have.
And there are institutions that are into the budget. And okay, remember, for example, security agencies, because for them even they do have classified budgets. The Internal Security Organization, External Security Organization, Chief for Military Intelligence, CMI, CID, and many more. And recently I saw there was a request of increasing the police budget, the security budget. You know, the Minister of Defense was actually pushing towards that, and part of the incomes they were talking about. Also, they wanted security for the oil roads. You know, a security for the oil mining. I think it was about 2.2 billion Ugandan shillings. So, I mean, you take a look and okay, and you wonder. Now, the issue comes in back to monitoring and evaluation, because where we are heading is we are heading in absolute turmoil. First of all, within what people call the mafia people, the people that termed as mafias, the more we head into such turmoil, such economic hardships, even them, they are affected by it. They are suffering because they're the ones that own these real estates, they have these huge businesses, and it's me and you who are their customers. So if we are squeezed by them and we don't have access to their services, they are running bankrupt. Running bankrupt, what does it mean? There is going to be what we call scramble and partitioning of the country's resources in the hands of the few. And what does that mean? Turmoil. Unless the state has the mechanism to pull that off, which it lost. So that's one of the key issues we're still having. The few people that are controlling the resources have access to the military, have access to all this, and before you know it, if they have disputes amongst themselves, we are the ones that feel the impact.
And usually when they come, most of them, the people in the government themselves, the MPs, the ministers, when they are usually interviewed, they say, you know, there is corruption in this part, we've asked for this money. And when they themselves, they are asked in their section exactly where the money goes, they themselves usually start they stammer. It's like they forget English all of a sudden. So at the end of the day, anti-corruption and everything over the years, NRM has been ruling. We've been told that corruption is being fought, corruption is not going to be there, corruption is going to go away. But the more they say that corruption is going, we are fighting corruption, the more it grows.
You know, the late Eli Tumwine said that corruption cannot be fought by one person. It's a collective effort, and it takes a while to entirely. And we cannot say that an economy can exist without corruption. Even the most developed economies really are corrupt.
Yeah.
And the only difference is that because if you're taking this money, you get to realize that the biggest picture is the heart for the people, the nationalistic heart for the people. Of course, you take a portion for yourself. They do that. They don't tell us. They do that.
But we always say, Andrew, if you get 1 million, if you're given 1 million, don't take 800,000 from the money. At least remove 300,000 and leave the rest to do what it's supposed to do. There we would understand. But you cannot be given 1 million, you take 800,000 and you give us the rest, which is 200,000. It doesn't make sense. So if you take the 200,000 and you give us the 800,000, maybe we would understand and say, at least we did something with the money, and we would understand. So at the end of the day, if we have corruption, this is already disturbing private sectors, like you were saying earlier on. And it's many companies, of course, someone will want to open a company, but because you have to pay a certain amount to own an industry, to own a business, this is not something proper. Where you're supposed to only pay 1 million shillings, you end up paying like 10 million shillings. It doesn't make sense.
The cost of doing business is quite high.
Yes.
Away from the licensing and all this, sometimes you need favors from such that you have.
You need a certain stamp from someone. And from that someone to give you that stamp, you need to pay money.
You need to pay money.
Yeah.
So all that is causing bureaucracy. That's why I'm so grateful if we have an incorporated ICT structure whereby when all you need is your face and all your data is recorded, the registration and all this. And before you know it, it could be one of the ways to curb the element of corruption. And with the transformation roadwork, like we mentioned yesterday, I can see this coming to pass. And I believe IT will be influential when it comes to combating corruption in this country, Uganda. Otherwise, it is eating us off.
Yeah, and what is very sad, the biggest number of passport owners in Uganda are not Ugandans.
Yeah.
And when they started the national ID system, they said, we are putting the national ID, get your national ID, because we don't want to give the foreigners, At the end of the day, we all felt safe. Because you knew to get a passport, you need a national ID. To do anything, to go to the bank, you need a national ID. To get a SIM card, you need a national ID. We felt safe at the moment.
Yes.
But then also the passports, they kept saying you cannot get a passport if you don't have a national ID. So all the foreigners, people keep taking these passports. But who is giving them the passports? You find that most of the passports that are held in different countries are Ugandan passports, and the people that own these passports are not Ugandans. So Ugandans were marked as criminals, but we are not criminals.
We're not the criminals.
It is other people who are using the passports. So us as a country would feel safe when rules are put and they're actually followed. But if you put these rules and they are not followed, us as citizens, we cannot feel safe. You cannot tell us corruption is going to go when I can come and give you 500,000 and you give me a passport just like that when I'm not a Ugandan. You can give me a national ID when I give you 500,000 just like that and I'm not a Ugandan. If you go out there, you would expect a foreigner not to have a national ID.
Not to have a national ID.
But you go on Wandagya streets and you find that Eritreans are owning businesses. Can you go to Eritrea and start a business, Andrew?
It's hard.
It is very hard. Here in Uganda, as long as you can pay the rent.
As long as you have a light skin.
And this is very sad. And it is, I feel attacked with that statement.
No, I didn't say, no, I meant what I said,
I know.
the light skin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Here in Uganda, when you have a certain color in Uganda, when you enter a restaurant, there's a way you're treated.
Yeah.
And when you look in a certain way, there is a way you're treated. And that is a wrong mentality. I can come looking like I'm coming from bed, but when I have my money, I don't have to look like the money I have.
I don't need to look. Yeah, I mean, the aspect of colonialism is also still into us. In some
yes,
sort of
a lot of it.
Yeah. And also, you've mentioned something about Ugandans owning passports. Recently, we survived being blacklisted.
Yes.
On the grey list for money laundering. And I could relate to all that because some of these people, when they own these passports, they commit, majority of them, it's crime.
Yes.
It's crime. And it's money-oriented. And thank God that we passed that and we are not on the blacklist regarding money laundering. But we survived that. But that comes back to
biggest number of Nigerians were in Dubai committing crimes with
Ugandan passports.
You find them in Canada, in different countries doing things because you find a Nigerian who cannot even speak Lunyankole or anything, calling himself Tumsimi. You tell him, hey, how are you? And they're like, hey, how are you? Hey. And they can't speak the language.
Yeah.
So these days what they do at the passport office, when you say I am in Muganda, you have to have evidence that you're in Muganda. They will tell you Tambla and go Muganda. And if you fail, You're Mchiga. Okay. Which part of Kabale are you from? And I love this. But, of course, some people, of course, they pay their way through this. Even if they're not Ugandans, they end up getting the passport. Because the system was upgraded, there are machines, there's a protocol, there's what and everything. But people, as Ugandans, they always find a way to make money. They never fail. So, but also we see with all these years, the number of the unemployed youth, we thought that actually the number would go down, but I think because the education system has gotten better and many people are going to school.
I think it's not better. It's just because they are still in the revision of a new curriculum. We are still not sure we are there. We are just trying to adjust.
Mama Janet is doing her best, and you see, yes, and you see this year we've had so many candidates pass compared to the other. Personally, I feel yes, because the PLE results came out yesterday, and I was happy with the results that came out. And schools that you didn't expect to perform actually performed.
But if I may ask, is PLE relevant? Because I'm trying to understand. Okay, you have Paul, but if I took you out there to the real world, can you defend the Paul? I think that's what we need to focus on.
With the Ugandan curriculum, you wouldn't be able to defend it. Because usually the kids are taught to progress in books. They are not taught to go out there in the world and shine. Which is very wrong.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And recently I saw China is upgrading its vocational studies, vocational schools. And it's something we need to really look into. And maybe finally, what I want to talk about before we get into a discussion, you realize that if you're Ugandan and you go to abroad to work, you get a job.
Yeah.
The system is designed in a way that you're not supposed to get rich from their country.
Yes.
Of course, you may have enough money to pay your rent, live your life. If you have kids, pay for them, but not for you to have extra money to save. But in Uganda, we have established systems which help foreigners develop from their countries and suppress the indigenous.
Andrew, you're trying to annoy me. When you say foreigners benefit from us and we cannot benefit from them when we go to their countries, that is annoying.
It is annoying, but that is what is happening. Because in America, I don't care what job you do, the system is not going to favor you to come out and establish a huge arcade there. But in Uganda, you can't come from it.
You remember when Ugandans started going abroad back in the day, when they would come back to the country and you would be like, Abasama base, Abasama. But these days when they come, they are there, but it's like they're not there. Because they actually realized the money they used to come back and spend, at the end of the day, it was them losing out.
It was them losing out.
Yes, because that money would actually do something else. You're coming back to show people you summer, yes, but then afterwards you're going back again to sweep to make the money that you lost.
To make the money that you lost.
Yes. So you see, most of the foreigners who are here in Uganda, they own houses, they own lands.
They do.
This is something you cannot do when you go to another country. And this is something the government needs to look at. They need to put a policy and a rule. Whether you're who, the only thing you can do as a foreigner who has come to Uganda is rent. You cannot own.
Exactly.
You can pay rent, but you cannot own. This is something that would help the country. Because most of the Ugandans, you find that we don't own land or houses. But foreigners are coming and buying. As long as they have money, it doesn't matter. They can actually come and buy in your name, but when it's not yours.
It's not yours.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Exactly 46 minutes past 9, and of course looking at our economy, which can't sustainably put people out of poverty. That poses quite lots of questions. Well, we come to the end of this discussion, but of course before we sign out here, we have some discussions regarding the NRM ideology and corruption by some of the stakeholders within the movement. Let's see what he has to say, but of course still great thanks from all the way started. I've been with Charlotte, Masika Tsime, have been driving your business through, and we are always here every single day, Monday up to Friday, driving your business from 7 a.m. Till 10 a.m. And now, of course, we're heading into the weekend. Go be productive, strategize for the next week. If something didn't work out Well,
It's the
you could
weekend.
make it. Maybe Charlotte seems excited. I mean, first give the viewers the weekend remarks.
Of course, the weekend, usually Ugandans, our weekend starts on Thursday.
Thursday.
You know, Uganda, we love to party. But of course, me personally, for me, what I would say, whatever you're going to spend this weekend, how about you save that money and invest it in something productive that is going to help? Kids are going back to school.
Yeah.
We have 2 weeks left
Yeah.
for kids to go back to school. So spend wisely this weekend.
She said that, spend wisely, and of course, I think I would also tell you the same, be productive, and set up new strategies to make money next week if something didn't work out this week. We shall be seeing you again on Monday. Now let's leave you with this discussion with a member from the National Resistance Movement regarding ideology on corruption.
Talking about the National Resistance Movement is a very exciting experience. I would say I know the National Resistance Movement very well, right from its inception up to today. But the major strength of the NRM is its ideology. Ideology is a compass. It's a compass that helps the organization to know where it has come from, where it is going, and why it is taking that direction. I know many people know the major principles of the ideology of NRM: Pan-Africanism, democracy, patriotism, socio-economic transformation. And as NRM pursues those ideal principles, there is that element of resistance, what you call, why they say National Resistance Movement. What are you resisting? You are resisting bad things, bad governance, extrajudicial killings of the state that took place in the past, many things. You resist bad things and you embrace good things. Even when you are pursuing a foreign policy, that's why Uganda is a member and a strong participant in the non-aligned movement. You see, the non-aligned movement emerged during the period of Cold War, when there was competition between the two superpowers, led by the United States and the Soviet Union. And many countries came up to say, no, we cannot be pro-East or pro-West, we have to be pro-ourselves. We are not going to align with anybody. We shall work with any state all over the world according to our interests. So the NRM has been pursuing a foreign policy that is guided by its ideology of Pan-Africanism, of resisting bad things and embracing good things. So that is the major strength of NRM. To know where you are going and why you are taking that direction. You don't take decisions far or anyhow. The leader of NRM has been both a strategic thinker and a pragmatic, to be pragmatic, has been a strategic thinker and at the same time very pragmatic when it comes to implementation. That is strength number one. The second strength, because of the ideology, is to pursue peace as an independent variable. You see, without peace and stability, you cannot have development. And here development, we are talking about political, economic, and social progress. At the level of individual, we want to see a better quality of life. So when an individual moves from one stage to another, then that is a development. That's why the NRM is pursuing the parish development model, that even the 39 who are outside the money economy, if they cross and join the money economy, they will have transformed their lives from one stage to another. And that's what development is to a level of an individual at the household. So the second strength of NRM has been to ensure peace and stability. When you have peace and stability, people are able to engage in development activities. You have put peace and stability, Then you pursue a policy of liberalization. The policy of liberalization in the economy, where the private sector is expected to take a lead, people are free. You can start a school if you want. You can start a hospital. You can do anything. The state is not able to provide every service. But because of the liberalization policy of the NRM, first with the stability, you have liberalization policy as an independent variable. Now, the dependent variable, the outcome, we are talking of improved service delivery, improved quality service, quality life of the people. That is strength number 2. And there are outcomes even out of that stability. Uganda used to be a generator of refugees at some point. But today, Uganda is one of the hosts, a better host of the refugees. Why? You know, refugees vote with their feet. They go where there is peace. Uganda has been hosting. That is a sign that Uganda is stable. People have confidence in the country. That's why Uganda can host various conferences, Commonwealth, speakers, now NAM, G77 plus China. This is a vote of confidence in the stability of the country. This is very true. But of course, at some point there was nothing to steal. Now the economy has grown. There is a lot to steal. But I want to agree with you, corruption is one of the weaknesses of the NRM. To me, it has gone beyond a red line. And I'm inclined to suggest we need to pursue a policy of lifestyle audit. Lifestyle audit, they look at you, they examine on the wealth you have to explain where it came from. If you're a civil servant that earns 700,000, you have not taken a loan, you don't have an import-export business, but you are building apartments. Where are you getting the money? You have put up a school of 3 billion. Where have you got the money? The lifestyle audit will bring out the sources. And if you find you cannot explain your wealth, then the wealth should be confiscated and go to the public purse, the treasury. But the major challenge is what the English would say, who would bail the cat? You know? You have so many rats and they say, let's put a bail. So that who will bail the cat? Sometimes those who are entrusted with the responsibility to fight corruption are corrupt themselves. That's why I say, who will bail the cat? But I agree, one of the shortcomings of the NRM today is rampant corruption in various sectors. And it undermines service delivery. The money that would have used in service delivery is wasted in corruption. Maybe the positive about it is that most of these people have been stealing our money. They are invested within the economy. If you stand on some of the hills of Kampala and you see the developments, what is the only ugly thing is that the poor roads. But if these roads were made, Kampala would be one of the most beautiful cities in the world when you stand up and see the developments. Anyway, it is a struggle. It is a process. You cannot eliminate corruption in one day, 1 year. It is a process of struggle, which for us who think we are ideologically clear about the dangers of corruption, we will continue to preach the message that corruption hampers development, it undermines service delivery, it is ugly, it is not acceptable.